Straight ahead, meet the candidates. You'll hear from all 4 Republicans running for Texas Attorney General now that Ken Paxton is campaigning for U.S. Senate and will leave his job at the end of next year. Behind the scenes, DART and its 13-member cities have been meeting quietly for months to try to work out their disagreements to prevent some of the cities from withdrawing from the transit agency. We'll talk to 2 leaders who've been coordinating the meetings about the key disputes. And new battleships. President Trump has unveiled the Navy's first new ships in years, why he says they are crucial. Good morning, I'm Jack Fink. Get your fix for Texas politics. Eye on Politics on CBS News Texas starts now. Hello and welcome to Eye on Politics on this final Sunday of 2025. As we prepare for 2026, one race we will be keeping a close eye on for the upcoming March 3rd primary is the race for Texas Attorney General. And that's because for the first time in more than a decade, there is an opening in the statewide office. Ken Paxton is running for U.S. Senate and will leave the Attorney General's office at the end of his term at the end of next year. 7 candidates are running for this seat. Last week, we introduced you to and you heard from all 3 Democrats running. Attorney and former FBI agent Tony Box, former Galveston Mayor Joe Jaworski, and State Senator Nathan Johnson of Dallas. This week, you will meet from and hear from all 4 Republicans running. They are State Senator Joan Huffman of Houston, State Senator Mays Middleton of Galveston, former Assistant Attorney General for the Office of Legal Policy at the U.S. Justice Department, Aaron Reitz, and Central Texas Congressman Chip Roy. The most recent independent poll of the Republican primary is from the University of Houston and Texas Southern University in October. It showed Roy with a big lead at 40%, followed by Huffman with 12%, Reitz at 8%, and Middleton with 3%. We asked each of them why they are running, and our first question was, what is the essence of your campaign? For each of our answers, we are going by alphabetical order.
As I look at the AG, Paxton's done a good job in many respects, kind of fighting against federal overreach, defending our liberties, but I would like to see the office really use every tool, every resource to implement all the laws available to keep Texans safe. I really like to develop the law enforcement side of the office. Just, when you look around our state, you look at the transnational crimes, interstate crimes, whether it's, human trafficking, fentanyl trafficking, a lot of scams on the vulnerable, like veterans and the elderly, Medicaid fraud. And I think that part of the office is not being developed and used in the way that it should. And I would really focus on that. Of course, as I said, doing the important functions of the office, like, child support division, all the kind of the things, the job that the AG has to do. But I think there's other things we can do to really enhance the office.
So this is a calling for me, not a job. And look, I give away the salary like our president does. I reject the pension. I reject the health care. I don't take the state license plate. I don't take the lobbyist NFL tickets. I don't take the lobbyist ski trips. I'm only here to serve and fight for the conservative values that we believe in. And I have that proven conservative record. So I got elected to the House in 2018. I actually beat an incumbent to do that. I was chairman of the Freedom Caucus after that. And then in 2022, I ran for Senate, and President Trump endorsed me in that race. He said my conservative record was second to none. And ever since day one in office, I've been ranked as one of the top 1 or 2 most conservative members, either in the Texas House and the Texas Senate. I've delivered on those promises that I made, and this is a show me, don't tell me business, and I can show you the conservative results.
I most recently came from the presidentially appointed Senate-confirmed role as the head of the Office of Legal Policy at DOJ. And when President Trump nominated me back in December, he said, Aaron Reitz is a true MAGA attorney and a warrior for the Constitution. Now, I've been involved in the legal arena, in the legal political battles of this state for many, many years, and I know that Texans want and Texans deserve exactly that, a true MAGA attorney and a warrior for the Constitution. That's why I'm in this race, and that's the theme of my campaign.
How do you define MAGA attorney?
Look, I think it's somebody who has the battle scars to prove that he has been litigating, investigating, suing, defending, and appealing on all of the major issues that are helping to make America great again, whether that's border security, election integrity, free speech, religious liberty, unleashing American energy, oil and gas, blocking the predations of the radical left in our schools and in higher education. All of these thematic legal issues I have worked on and been in legal combat in a lawfare environment. And so that's what makes me uniquely qualified for this position.
I feel like the good Lord has given me the skill set at this unique time in Texas history and American history to serve as Attorney General. Former federal prosecutor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I was a prosecutor in Plano and Sherman, lived in McKinney in the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I was the former First Assistant Attorney General. I know how the office works. I've had to put my signature on all the court filings and lead the office alongside the Attorney General. And we need a strong Attorney General with a proven track record, a conservative, someone who knows the job on day one, someone who's respected around the country, whether they agree with me or not, because they know that I'll stand up and fight. And Texas needs a leader right now in the Office of the Attorney General going forward to carry that great legacy forward, but defend Texas against the onslaught that's coming against it at the border, criminals being put on our streets, on our cities, the advance of Sharia law, the extent to which we have the over-corporatification of our state, and a lot of issues the AG's office is front and center on. Importantly, this issue of Sharia law and the Islamification of Texas. It is by far the most pressing issue that we need to address and face. And you got to have somebody who understands the Constitution, that has got a track record of defending the First Amendment, but recognizing the First Amendment isn't an excuse for a politically motivated political effort to try to Islamify this state, and we've got to stand up and defend it.
And so our next question, why should Republican primary voters select you over the other candidates?
I'll go back to my experience and my qualifications. And, you know, I've been in the Senate a long time. They can look at my record. I have a very conservative voting record. I am a conservative. My focus has been on law and order, fiscal matters, always been very supportive, as said, it shepherded many of the big pieces of legislation through. I wrote the first voter ID bill. We care very much as Republicans, and all Texans care about election integrity. I wrote the first voter ID bill that stood up in court. As chair of state affairs, I shepherded all of the big Second Amendment bills through state affairs. You know, the campus carry, open carry, and later, of course, and I was not the chair anymore, but we passed constitutional carry. And I helped bring law enforcement and help with the legal issues that sort of brought that across the finish line, because there was some pushback in the state, but now we've seen it has done nothing to hurt, you know, any Texan that I can see, and it just has enforced our constitutional rights. But it was that kind of background and experience that I have that was able to push in the conservative issues and legislation that is very important to the Republican primary voter.
Well, I can tell you two things. Number one is record. And I can promise you this, I am the only one in this race that has been protested at the Texas Capitol. So about 2 months ago, they had these ugly green signs with my face on it and these red X's through my eyes, and they called me the bathroom bigot. And they were chanting in the rotunda, they were screaming, they were yelling. Why? Because I don't want a man in my little girl's restroom or locker room or shower. And the reason why I'm the only one that's been protested in this race for Attorney General is because I'm already beating the left. I'm already defeating them. I'm stopping what is the woke mind virus, I'll call it that, because these are common sense things that I'm fighting for. I want to make sure that Texas is the safest state in America to live and raise a family. That is my goal.
Because I'm the only one in this race with a record that is relevant and battle tested to the position for which we're applying. Article 4, Section 22 of the Texas Constitution says, the Attorney General shall represent the state of Texas in all courts and pleas. This is a legal, executive branch, law enforcement job. It is not a legislative job. My three opponents are legislators, some better than others. I like them. They're nice people. I don't have any beef, personal beef or political beef with my three legislative opponents. But their experience pales in comparison to the experience that I bring to the table, litigating, investigating, suing, defending, and appealing on all of the major issues that Texans really care about. That's what sets me apart. It's why I served in the senior ranks at the Justice Department. It's why I served as Senator Ted Cruz's right-hand man. It's why I was Attorney General Ken Paxton's deputy. It's why Attorney General Paxton unequivocally endorsed me to succeed him. And he didn't mince words when he endorsed me. He didn't say, oh, the other opponents in this race are nice people and would do a serviceable job, but on the margins, I like Aaron the most. No, he said Aaron Reitz is the only qualified candidate in this race and must be the pick for the next Attorney General.
It's hard to have a more solid conservative voting record than I have, with scores from all of the major groups that are either number one or top couple in the entire United States Congress and among, frankly, all elected leaders. And that's ranging across the issues, whether you're talking cultural issues like life or guns, whether you're talking about limited government freedom, or frankly, adherence to the Trump agenda and the GOP platform. I'm ranked number one in the state of Texas, number two in the entire House, number 5 out of everybody when you add up the Senate and the House in terms of following the Republican platform and my votes standing up in defense of it. Number 2, you need somebody who's actually held elected office. We've got at least one candidate who's never been elected so much as dog catcher. And I think you need someone who has been there, been in the cauldron, put his or her name out there in front of the people, and has had to stand up to the scrutiny of having an election certificate representing Texans. I have multiple times over. And I think you need somebody who's been in a courtroom. We've got at least 1 or 2 candidates who really haven't been in a courtroom. I've been a prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office. I've been the first Assistant Attorney General, sitting alongside our lawyers and our counsels, defending the state of Texas and having to put my name out there in defense of the state.
We also asked the candidates if the job of Attorney General changes if there is a Democrat in the White House.
Well, I think it is true. If we look at, our past history, that when Obama was president, President Biden, the state was more involved with filing suits against the federal government and so forth because of policies that we felt were hurting Texans. And if I felt there was a president who was, implementing policies that was bad for Texas, then, I would sue him as well. President Trump seems to look at Texas in a more favorable light, clearly, than some of the previous presidents have. And so, we don't see at this point Paxton filing the suits at the same rate. But the truth is, even no matter who the president is, that certainly there can be federal overreach. The federal government clearly is a huge bureaucracy with many, many agencies that sometimes step on Texans' toes. And no matter who's the president, if things can happen that still Texans need to be protected from, that would be my job.
So you would push back?
I would push back.
We have an incredible president right now, President Trump in the White House, is helping Texas secure our border, lock up criminals, all the things that we need to have happen to keep our state the safest and most prosperous in America, because it's Texas exceptionalism. I believe in that. We're the most exceptional state in America, period, the end. And that changes a lot depending on who's in the White House, where we have to point those guns and devote our time and resources, especially in the Attorney General's office. And right now we're in good hands, but just less than a year ago, we were not. And the 10th Amendment is one of the most important tools in that. That's states' rights. The federalism is supposed to work that way. It's how it's supposed to work. And we need to make sure that we devote every resource and tool in the AG's office. If we have a bad liberal Democrat president that is attacking our state, we saw Biden attack Texas, whether that was opening the border or going after, for example, the oil and gas industry, or going after law and order just outright. The things that he did were designed to hurt Texas and hurt our values. And as AG, I will fight back with every resource and tool in that office to defend our great state and defend the values that it was based on and we were founded on.
If, God forbid, a Republican loses and we have a Democrat in the White House, what Texas wants, what Texas needs, is to have a state attorney general who is going to oppose the efforts and the agenda of a far left-wing Democratic administration, which we know from experience under both Obama and Biden is going to do everything possible to turn Texas into something that it's not, to force Texas to become something that it doesn't want to be. And they're going to do it by executive fiat. And so you need somebody in this race who is prepared to litigate against a hostile Democratic administration in 2028, if they do take the White House. I hope that they don't. I don't think that they will. But I think that in that first 2 years, that America First law and order agenda is going to manifest itself in several different ways. It's going to be helping the Trump administration expedite its mass deportation operations. It's going to be fighting against the radical sexual left that is going to try to enforce and shove down the throats of K through 12 education and in higher education this delusional notion that there are biological sexes other than male and female.
Well, by definition, it will change in the sense that the Attorney General is responsible for defending the laws of Texas, but also defending Texas against the long arm of the federal government if it's interfering with Texas under our Constitution. We've got a great track record in history under Ken Paxton, under Greg Abbott, and going all the way back, we've had strong leadership pushing back on a intrusive federal government. That is more true from my perspective if you have a president like Joe Biden. We obviously have wildly different views. The current president is much more in line with our way of thinking in Texas. So there are fewer reasons you have to challenge the federal government, but you still do, by the way. There's still lawsuits, there's still things that go on where you've got to deal with legacy laws, legacy issues, defend the state of Texas, and it's important to do that. So that stays consistent. It's just a much greater effort when you've got a president that's at odds with your state.
Up next, DART and its member cities have been quietly meeting behind the scenes for months to work out their differences and keep them from leaving the transit agency. We'll discuss when Eye on Politics on CBS News Texas returns. Welcome back to Eye on Politics. CBS News Texas has learned that for months now, DART and its 13 member cities have been quietly meeting to resolve their differences. They did so even before 4 of the cities decided to hold elections this spring so residents can vote on whether to withdraw from the transit agency.
We said that, we must get the leaders of those cities together.
North Texas Commission President and CEO Chris Wallace and the new Executive Director of the North Central Texas Council of Governments, Todd Little, said months ago they thought it was crucial that DART and its 13-member cities meet together to resolve their differences to keep the 40-year-old transit agency in place. Since September, Wallace and Little have been meeting with the city's leaders and smaller working groups. We were allowed to shoot video after the most recent meeting last week, but not the meeting itself.
And just to have a very crucial conversation. Where are we? How can we compromise to prevent these elections?
Timing is important because the citizen elections in the 4 cities so far is in May. And the last day these cities can strike a deal and cancel the elections is March 18th. The 4 cities, Plano, Irving, Farmers Branch, and Highland Park, have said they don't believe their taxpayers have gotten their money's worth from the 1-cent sales tax that they've sent to DART for decades. So they want changes. Wallace and Little said the 4 cities no longer want bus service because it's underutilized. They want Dallas to reduce the number of representatives on DART's board.
Dallas currently holds over 50% of the board representation. So in a sense, Dallas would be requested to reduce their majority percentage on that at 8 out of 15. Looking at somewhere like 7 out of 21 members on that board.
Is Dallas open to this?
Dallas is open to it.
I mean, do you see at the end of the day that there is a positive prognosis that cities won't withdraw from DART?
We hope so.
Are you there yet?
We're not there yet. I'm cautiously optimistic.
We reached out to the chairman of the Dallas City Council's Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Paul Ridley, and he told me that the committee won't discuss the potential of reducing the number of representatives on the DART board. But Todd Little of the Council of Governments said through a spokeswoman that he stands by his comments that Dallas has to consider it. Up next, President Trump unveils a new class of warship when Eye on Politics on CBS News Texas comes right back. President Trump announced a new class of Navy ships that he's calling the Golden Fleet. He's calling them much stronger than the current fleet, and Sarah Jenkins has the details in the brief.
The president said the new ships would be the largest battleships in the history of the country and the world. He said they would also help maintain American military supremacy, revive the shipbuilding industry, and inspire, quote, fear in America's enemies all over the world. The Navy Secretary called it future Trump-class battleship USS Defiant. The president said robots will be used to help build the ships, and they will be made in the U.S. He also said the U.S. has not built a ship since 1994. For The Brief, I'm Sarah Jenkins.
Thank you, Sarah. And don't forget, you can watch the full interviews of all the GOP candidates running for Texas Attorney General and our conversation about the future of DART on our CBS Texas YouTube page. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button. That's all for Eye on Politics this week. I'm Jack Fink. I am listening, and we are listening to you at CBS News Texas. Thanks for watching today and all year. And I want to wish you a very happy and healthy new year. See you next week.